Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon, and today we are looking at Golisopod Garbodor. It is of course a very powerful archetype, managed to get second at the World Championships and has continued to do well at regionals. Most recently it's sort of been overshadowed by Drampa Garbodor, but I still believe this to be a powerful archetype in the metagame, and it has answers to a lot of decks in the format, so it is one that is very appealing. And if you look at this list now, you can think for London that there will be no new inclusions from Shining Legends, nor will there be any inclusions from Crimson Invasion, so technically this is a London-ready list. So, hopefully provides good viewing, and we can demonstrate why Golisopod Garb is still a potent contender in the metagame. So, let's start off with the Golisopods. Actually, first off, let's mention Wimpod. He's a 70 HP basic Pokemon, which is actually a little bit nicer than 60 when there are some Devolve approaches running around right now. And he has his own ability, which is very nice, Wimp Out. During your first turn, this Pokemon has no retreat cost. This, of course, means that we can move him out of the active to protect him and send up other things like Tapu Koko. It means we can go for Tapu Finis very early in the game if we need to steal the tempo off someone. So being able to protect your Wimpods is really good. Putting him to the bench is also great so that we can start using Golisopod to attack with. So very nice card. He also has a 3 retreat cost, so he is Heavy Ball searchable as well. So all round very good card. And then we have Golisopod-GX. He is a 210 HP stage 1 grass type that has the first impression attack, which is a big factor here. It does 30 base damage, and if this Pokemon was on the bench and became your active Pokemon this turn, it does 90 more damage. So 120 for 1 energy is immensely efficient, and with Choice Band it can even go higher. So very, very good attack. It is one of the focal points of the deck. We will try and spam this attack by using things like Guzma and Acerola, and even float stoning our Golisopods to move in between different ones is an option as well. So using this attack is the focal point of Golisopod, but there are 2 more very important ones as well. Armor Press for a grass double colorless deals 100. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 20 less damage from attacks. This can push your 210 out of range once again from things like Vikavolt Tapu Bulu. They can hit 210 with a Choice Band. Now you can push them out of range and put them just shy of a knockout with this reduction. Additionally, against Drampa, if they have Potown, you go into 180 range and you can put yourself back out with the Armor Press. So it's actually a very viable attack in here. You can see that we play full 4 double colorless energies because I believe it is important enough to spam Armor Press when we are able to. It's also important to note that when you do first impression for 120, oftentimes you'll get 2 hit KOs even by doing the 100 attack from Armor Press, especially with a Koko flip early or with a Choice Band support on either of the attacks. So it's a fine finishing move, and it's one that's overlooked a lot of the time with the Golisopod. A lot of people focus heavily on Guzma and Acerola Ring, but you can still go for Armor Press. It's a fine option for you. Speaking of fine options, the GX attack is also a big factor in the deck. For a grass DC, once again, you deal 150 and switch this Pokemon with one of your benched. Switching to the bench is obviously very good for you because it can reset your first impression for future turns, whilst also moving a 2-prize Pokemon out of the active into most likely a 1-prize Pokemon to force awkward turns for the opponents. If they want to keep up in the prize race, they probably have to Guzma, and if they're not using Guzma, it's late on in the game, they're probably not using N, and they really have to make the choice whether or not they go for the single prize or they go for the N. Either way, you're fairly happy with the outcome. So very nice for protecting your own attacker, but most importantly, we can finally hit 180 with the Choice Band involved here, so that we can one-hit KO things like Drampas, Volcanion EX, also Tapu Lele's as well. So Golisopod can reach the 1-hit KO number once during the game, thanks to that crossing cut. So very, very good attack for certain. Next up, we are going to go for the Garbodor line. Garbodor, so important in the format, so impactful because there are a huge amount of abilities around. So we're going to use the Acid Spray Trubbish, it's the best one we have. We're going to have a 2-1 split of Garbodor in favour of Garbotoxin, and that's really because abilities are rife right now. Gardevoir, very, very strong archetype, of course, maybe the best deck in the format. Also Volcanion, they can already get 1-hits on the Golisopod, but it means you can tank with Tapu Lele's. Which is very good, or at least force like Choice Band on a Turtonator, for example. And just in general, there's plenty of supporters there's plenty of Tapu Lele's to grab supporters, which you can shut off. Therefore, N in the late game becomes much more potent for you. There's plenty of ability decks out there. There's a lot of things playing Zoroark, Noctillery, there's Vikabulu, there's Greninja. It's really an ability-focused meta right now, so Garbotoxin is incredible. And we're just going to play one Trash Launch Garbodor. He can be a sweeper for you if the opponent has to play too many items. It's also a nice non-EX again to try and force the prize trade in your favor. We have rainbows to activate this cost, and it's very nice for us. We're not going to play the 4-2-2 line of Garb just because it's not enough space, really, because you need to fit in the Golisopods and all these Acerolas and such. But really, Trash Launch isn't as strong as it used to be just because of Versus Seeker going, but he's still definitely worth the one slot as also being a card that can just take one-hit KOs in the late game. So it really does stabilize the late game, this deck. Next up, we're going to play a couple of important one-off copies. One is going to be Tapu Fini-GX. It has the Tapu Storm GX attack. Shuffle your opponent's active Pokemon and all cards attached to it to their deck. If your opponent has no bench Pokemon, you can't use this attack. So, yeah, this is really important, specifically for a few things. If Gardevoirs get too big, if they have too many turns of abilities, or if they can field blow at the right turns, they can grow too much, and then you can't one-hit KO them, and they will just sort of pound through your entire board. In these cases, you can Tapu Storm it away and force them to rebuild from the off, and hopefully you can re-establish Ability Lock, which is very important. Additionally, it's going to be for Kiawe Pokemon. If someone Kiawe's a Ho-Oh, or even something like a Turtonator, you can Tapu Storm that away, and you really set them back quite nicely, and you buy yourself extra turns to like evolve and such. So Tapu Storm is a really awesome GX attack to help out one of our worst matchups, and also help out Gardevoir, which is also very relevant. And in general, Tapu Storm can find the right spots. When you're combining this with N, once again, I'm going to talk about the late game here. If you can establish Garbotoxin, go for Tapu Storm, combine it with an N to 2 or 3 cards, if you move up their big main attacker, they can sometimes be out of options, and with such a low hand size off the end, they could be in a real bad spot. So very good GX attack. It does have a few other attacks. Aqua Ring does 20, and you may switch this Pokemon with one of your bench. This again can do 100 damage. With a Choice Band against Volcanion EXs, which is very good. So bear this in mind, especially combining it with Garbodor. It can be tanky, and it can choose to put itself to the bench as well to keep it around all game. And we even have Hydro Shot as an option, because we play Rainbows once again. We can discard 2 waters from this Pokemon to deal 120 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. It will be extremely rare that you'll ever get a Hydro Shot off in any game, but it is possible, so bear this in mind. Hydro Shot is a viable choice for you in theory. Finally, we have Tapu Koko for the Flying Flip. Flying Flip is amazing in the deck. Again, it's going to help out against Ho-Oh, because he can hit 100 with the Choice Band and also set other things in a little bit better range with the spread. This spread in general is putting lots of things into range. It is very nice math fixing with First Impression. Now with a Choice Band, we can do 150, which gets the 170 after the Flying Flip. So that's really awesome for, again, trying to Grinch down things like Tapu Lele's for the aggressive prizes. When we want to be Guzmaring already a lot during the game, the Koko really helps out. It's a nice free retreater to bounce into as well for these Guzmas and Acerolas, so this is excellent for us. So Koko always a really nice one-of. Potentially you might want to go up to 2 in this deck because he is a really important card, but for now, happy enough with a 1 count, but he really does put a shift in some matchups. Finally, 3 Tapu Lele to round out the Pokemon. Energy Drive is our main option against fire stuff, and Wonder Tag in general is just a really nuts ability that everyone plays. So, onto the items, very simple stuff. 1 Rescue Stretcher to recycle some of these important cards, things like Trash Launch or Garbotoxin, as well as any low HP Pokemon that get dealt with early on in the game, in addition to being able to get like Tapu Lele to finish off games if you have your tools removed. That could also be great. 1 of Heavy Ball to grab yourself any of the Garbodor pieces, as well as Golisopod and Wimpod. Very nice and versatile search card to really help you get into your lines as quickly as possible. Trying to develop turn 2 Garbotoxin is a huge priority in many matchups. 2 Field Blowers. It's really important to get rid of Potowns against Drampagarbs because that is a very popular matchup. Additionally, you can get rid of Parallel Cities from Garbodor GX decks. That is also starting to pop up. So really, I like getting rid of different stadiums. This allows us to contest the war as well as being able to get rid of tools from other Pokemon, which not only sometimes hurts their own maneuverability or their damage output, it will also be adding up damage for Trashalanche, which is excellent. 4 Ultra Ball for the consistency purposes, as you all know. 1 of Brigette to grab our basics out as quickly as possible. 3 Acerola because Golisopod is a tank and we only need 1 energy to use one of his best attacks, so being able to tank hits Acerola, put down the Golisopod all over again and attack with First Impression is just very, very good for decks that can't reach 210, which is a handful to be honest. And then we're going to round out the supporters with lots of consistent 4-ofs, 4 Guzma, trying to take aggressive prizes. I've already said that Crossing Cut's really good for taking out Lele's. Flying Flip into First Impression's great for taking out Lele's. Oftentimes that's what we're going to try and do to race. We're going to Grinch down the 2 prize Pokemon with heavy lines of Guzma and hope that doing some Acerola's mid-game and like 2-shotting things is also good enough. Or maybe it reaches the late game and Trashalanche could take our last few prizes. We are going to play 4 copies of N, as well as 4 copies of Sycamore, both very important consistency cards, and really good when you combine it with Garbotoxin. It really does hurt people's outs to win the game, so that is very good for you. I'm playing 3 copies of Choice Band. If ever there's a 61st card, it would be Choice Band for me. From the Bremen regional winning list, I've done a flip-flop of 1 Grass Energy for 1 Choice Band, and that's basically just because Enhanced Hammer's more prevalent in the meta. But I really do love Choice Band in here. I've mentioned maths already that it's helpful for with the GX attack as well as with First Impression, combining it with Koko. It's also really good on just Lele in general, with Tapu Fini against fire stuff. It's good against a whole bunch of things. I'd love to work in a 4th copy, but for now I feel the Grass Energy is more important, but trying to find that slot could be kind of difficult. Maybe cutting the Tapu Fini if you don't feel like Kiawe is relevant enough in the meta, which it may not be. The most recent Volcanion lists haven't been playing Kiawe, but then again, Drampagarb's been doing really well, and when Drampagarb does well, Kiawe fire decks are oftentimes a good way to beat that deck. So having the Fini around seems like a good idea to me for now, so we're going to have to compromise on the Choice Band. It's a really insane card, we all know why. Its math fixing is amazing. So 3 copies, still a decently high count, but for now I'm opting to have a 4th Grass Energy. 4 floats, really important on the Garbs for the ability lock, and also really great on the Golisopods to keep moving between them if they receive damage. Then we are going to have the full 12 energy. I like playing 4 of every single one of these cards. DCE, really good for the Flying Flip, the Energy Drive, as well as using the other attacks on Golisopod outside of First Impression. Rainbow obviously means that we can interact with Trashalanche as well as Tapu Storm GX, in addition to Golisopod GX, and rounding it out with 4 Grass because Golisopod is still our main attacker, and this is just going to be really important. I've just mentioned right now that I've gone up to a 4 count from the more usual 3 count, and that is because E-Hammer has been showing up in Volcanion decks, as well as Greninja lists, and a few other decks are adopting the approach to play 2 E-Hammers, and E-Hammer already hurts this deck quite a lot, so I'm opting to have an extra physical Grass Energy to hopefully mitigate that a little bit. Another potential option would be swapping 1 Stretcher for a Super Rod, keeping the 3 Grass and going to 4th Choice Band. I think that's the other thing that I was debating when trying to work in more energies to be a bit safer against Enhanced Hammer, because it really is a threat to this deck. But yeah, that is really it. I don't think there's many other Pokemon I would be considering too much right now. I think if I consider anything, it would be upping the Koko or upping the Garbodor counts, depending on what we're expecting to face. And from there, I'm really happy with the list. I think I've already mentioned the 61st card, if anything, is Choice Band. So really, the list is tight, and that's the reason why we can't really fit any other cards. And I think Mark Lutz got it pretty right with his list for Bremen. And I don't think we need to make many changes to the list from there. So we will jump into some games now and see how it goes. If you notice the title, that's because the deck has sort of been popularized by Mark Lutz, although it was already, I guess it was already popular from Worlds, but Mark won in the most recent standard event with it, so that's a little homage to him there. Memeing him all the time. Anyway, if you know what that's all about, then have a little chuckle. If not, ask down below and I'll be happy to tell you. about Mark Lutz and Item Knock. So, moving on, let's start with the games. Bozo93 DV is now calling the flip. Golisopod Garb's actually a deck that I am really enjoying. I think it's really good. It's sort of under the radar right now just because Volcanion did well in recent regionals, but I still think it's a solid contender for sure. And looking at London, if the decks you're having to beat are like Drampa, Guardy, and then a bunch of other ability stuff, potentially Greninja as well, because that's been performing with Michael Long. So you cover a lot of bases with Golisopod, and all of the new stuff, you're not really worried about anything. Like, you're not worried about Buzzwole, you're not worried about Silvally, you're not worried about a lot of the new cards, so it just seems to be really safe against almost the entire meta. So I think this would be a very good safe play for London if you want to start testing now and clock the hours in. Looks like we're going to be facing Drampa Garbodor straight off the bat. They lead their Eevee as well, which is nice, and they choose to put down the Espeon EX, which is interesting. We're going to go immediately for the Brigette. We do have our Trash Launch in here. We have double Wimpod. We have Koko. We have lots of energy. Prized a DCE. Prized a few choice bands as well. Or one choice band. Okay, this is all reasonable. We can go for the optimal. The turn 1 Brigette plays. Happy days for us. Also playing the 4th Grass Energy is very good for Drampa Garb, of course, as well. Because Righteous Edge is annoying. How likely are they to move this Eevee and hit the Koko? Unlikely, right? I think I should commit the DC to the Tapu Lele on the bench. It's not likely that he'll go for a Guzma on turn 1. We don't need to commit any energy. We'll just calm it down. One of the reasons why Drampa is so good is that Righteous Edge attack. My goodness, they have nothing. Top decking the Golisopod is so insane for us. Because... ooh, do we even want to? We'll definitely evolve. I'm thinking if I just want to take the single prize, or do I start flipping? Putting the Drampa in range sounds pretty good. I like this flying flip here. Because moving the Eevee helps him out a lot. If he just finds an energy, he can big wheel. This way he's forced to do other stuff. He does grab himself an N. Getting a grass energy is so much better than a rainbow as well. Going to see the Trubbish come down, an energy evolution. And a Psybeam for 30. So... this always happens. I think it's a pretty simple turn here that we just hit for 120. We don't need to do much. Thought about Ultra Balling out Garbotoxin to slow down their outs, but I think they're probably fine. Wow, don't know what happened there. They've drawn badly. And we're meant to be the clunkier list out of the two, because Drampa's a basic that has big wheel. Sure, we'll take it. A tilted Drampa. The biggest fight that you have to have when you're facing the Drampa deck, one is going to be the Righteous Edge always being annoying, especially when they end you to a low hand size. It's also the Po-Town fight is very important, whether or not you can evolve pre-Po-Town or you can Field Blower before Po-Town. These are all big deals. Hello, mate. Let's get into game 2 here. Wow, we have another amazing Wimpod into Lele Brigette start. And we're going first. This might be a mirror match. This might be Vikabulu, seeing green sleeves. Oh, it's Decidui. Interesting. Garbodor going to be important to develop as quickly as possible, of course. I wonder what their partner is. Could even be Zoro GX. I know a few people have been trying that out. Well, we're not going to get any hints there. I think I still will Brigette. It seems like an insane Brigette for us. Yeah, this is just insane. It's too insane to not go for. And one of the best things about Golisopod is you don't need energy turn 1. You really don't need energy turn 1. I should do this. No, we started Wimpod. I should do this. Okay. I'm going to bait Field Blower. Choice band really not great for us in this matchup unless we're doing exactly a GX attack on a Lele. So if I can force any Field Blowers out now, it'll help us later for Garbodor. Especially because we're Sycamoring next turn every time, so we need to put down our tools regardless. We are going to see the Wonder Tag for Brigette on their side. So that's all good. It is going to be a Zoro build. Okay. Flying Flip. How good are you going to be? Probably not good enough. Sycamore, dig for energy. And Garbodor. Looks like we missed on the Garbodor. The one that we want anyway. But our hands being okay. We're taking an early prize here. Grabbing ourselves DCE. They're going to go into Tapu Lele. They weren't baited by the Field Blower last on our turn 1. We tried. Okay, they followed up with an N here. Oh, we get Heavy Ball. But we don't have a tool. Guzmaron Dartrix seems pretty good. Yeah, we'll Guzma Dartrix. Reduction of damage, is it ever worth it? Not right now. This does allow him to Lele KO. Just trying to think if the 20 reduction ever helps us from armor press. I don't think it does. Not as much as just getting another Wimpod set up. I'll attack with DC next turn. Maybe if we get a hit, we could crossing cut. So, another Rowlet comes down from them. Ultra Ball as well. Might have to to be a supporter here if he's getting rid of other stuff. Looks like it's going to be a Zoroark. He's going to start getting his engine going. We can't deny it just yet. Already been through a few tools our end. Choosing not to N us, even though we've gone down to 4 prizes. I'll take that. Can see a trade from them. Getting rid of the Espeon. 4 items gone. Rare candy. One of the best parts about Zoroark is that they really do make it a lot easier to get these combo pieces. They do complement each other quite well, Zoroark and Decidueye. He's going to start targeting the Wimpod, it looks like. Put us on a bit of a clock. We can Ultra Ball for Golisopod next turn anyway. Do they have DCE? And do they want to put it on a Lele is the question. They have the Float Stone, so you can only imagine DCE. And Writer's beating for 80. Oh, we actually top deck Golisopod. So we will just go for that. And Sycamore. Want to find a tool here. We grab Float Stone. That is ideal. And I think Armor Press is best here. We're putting ourselves at 140, oh sorry, 150 to get knocked out, so he needs a full bench. Well, okay, he has Field Blower, so now he could do some pings to get the KO. But he still needs bench Pokemon. And we've been carving through his Team Rowlet. Oh, Acerola's nice. Doing our strategy. Very cheeky. There is going to be a Feather Arrow. Ooh. Well, that's good timing, huh? Very happy to do this thing, so we already have the Float Stone in hand. We'll go first impression. I don't feel like I need to Armor Press. I think we're pretty much safe enough. So, Zoroark's back down. Back in the active. Attacking us once again. Getting beaten up. We can evolve. This might well be our GX attack turn. I'm trying to think where better spent our GX attack will be. But I think this is fine. I'm trying to think how crazy is it to put the Koko active. The Koko is actually really good with a choice band to finish this guy off. And can even finish this off later. So I think the Lele going active is our best move here. Yeah. Bring up something that's definitely safe. We have energy to retreat. So we should be fine here. Float Stone from them. Tapu Koko of their own comes down, comes into the active and just a pass. Rainbow is more valuable to us as the game progresses because of our Garbodors. I'm happy enough to retreat into this Golisopod even though he could take prize cards, because he has to bring up one of the 2 attackers that we can deal with afterwards. So that seems fine. It's basically us trying to progress the game state a lot quicker. See another rare candy come down, that's pretty nice. They've not had much going though. Yeah, just gonna finish us off with the 80 damage. But you know what? 7 items in there. You know what that means. Garbodors are swinging. Want to get rid of some cards that aren't going to be useful. I won't end, I don't think. Because I think this should be us in a very favourable spot at this point. You need something miraculous, something like another field blower this turn. Plus like Acerola. Gonna see a Rescue Stretcher. And a Choice Band and a Sycamore. Oh, there's a field blower. But that tips him over the edge, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, that tips him over the edge. Field blower is game for us now. So we got there. Oh no, he can GX attack back items. What am I saying? And that's exactly what he does. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Is it better for us to just Sycamore and try and develop a tool? I don't think it is. I think N's better. We can trap him active, much more likely. We have so many attackers that we can just go for this. That's a pretty good draw. Let's see what he can do. He needs to basically like Guzma and just start pinging our bench. Gonna ping the active. Brigette shouldn't be enough. Unless he can still retreat somehow. Well, there's Wonder Tag, but he's just Brigitted. Hello. That old chestnut. The old Max Posharuni. He's going to end us away, so I should commit this somewhere. I'm pretty sure this getting stuck is the only way we lose the game, so... Let's get hit with the N. He needs a max potion. He needs 2 max potions. Oh boy. Oh, he needs so much actually. He needs to also rare candy this and evolve this. He needs so many things. But with trade, anything's possible, right? Right? Ah, I got so close. So close. I just want to show him my hand at this point. What a joke. Well, to be fair, it's a very ability focused deck. We did quite well to shut him down, even with 3 Field Blower on their side, which is definitely the correct thing that they are choosing to play 3. I really respect that from them. But we still got there in the end. Let's get one more game in. Looks like we're up against a Psychic colourless deck. This could be Grandpa round 2. And we'll see how it goes here. Another Wimpod start. 3 for 3 on Wimpod starts. We're going first again. And we can Lele for Brigette again. It is heroic stuff from us. And we see a Trubbish. So I'm going to be sacking off this Garbodor for sure, because I don't think it's useful enough. And I think we sack off Choice Band. Yeah. With the intention of going Brigette here. Oh, not priced again, what a dream. Have all 4 grass energies in here. This is just excellent. Okay. So we're going to do some pretty good stuff. Make the plays. We want to get an attachment in this turn for certain. And we'll pass. 2 items played. Our opponent has the even better play, the natural Brigette from hand. Very good. Let's find out what we're up against. It's got to be Drampa, right? One would assume. It's just whether or not they choose to get Eevee out as well. And they do. They get the whole gang. They're going to evolve into the Espeon. That's a curious choice. Seems though we're a Garbodor deck as well. That's a really curious choice. The Psybeam can't be valuable enough. Can it? Surely the Psybeam's not valuable enough to go for there. We run so few of these that I kind of want to do this. Yeah. You have Golisopod. We need to save Stretcher for exactly this Garbodor. I could Ultra Ball out another Pokemon, but I think our hand is fine as is. So we'll try and hold off item usage and go for a cheeky 2-hit here. We're not scared of Psybeam. If he wants to divide, that's fine. I don't think it's strong here. Still at 2 items. They're going to go Trash Launch. Going to put down a second Eevee. Choice Band, they're active. Field Blower, our bench. Just for the Choice Band. So we only have one of those left. We have to be very cautious with our last one. And just a Psybeam. Missed out on Energy Drop. That is so good for us. So I don't want to Guzma because this is the only thing with energy on. So I think I'm attaching Ultra Boarding away and Guzma, attaching Floatstone active. And we'll choose to not Sycamore because, again, this stretcher, I believe, is important and we're not under pressure to do so just yet. Having this pod active is much better as well because it's a basic energy on it. Those are 2 really nice cards to pull from prizes. I want to have my last bench slot as a Trubbish, and DC means we can start armor pressing or going for a crossing cut if we have to against this guy. I wonder if we'll go for N, because we've not played a support the last 2 turns. Yeah, okay. We did discard N and Guzma, so he may have us still on a strong hand. It's just, I think he wants to Sycamore here just because he needs to get going. Missing out on energy drops has been so gross for him. Did make his Brigette look quite greedy though. If his attachment had been to the Dramper, he could have big wheeled. But instead he went for a 30 damage Confusion on a Koko, which doesn't sound correct. But hey, maybe he was just trying to get energy evolution before I went to Garbotoxin, but I don't know. Questionable decisions. Here is their own Garbotoxin. DC to the Lele. And Energy Drive, 60. I'm happy with this board position to just hit 100 here, I think. He has to recommit DC plus Choice Band if he wants to KO with this. Can't KO with Garbodor. So I think we're fine. I'm being super greedy with this Rescue Stretcher, but this does eventually become a Garbodor fight, so when you only play 1, you do need to be very careful with it. He will have less of an issue streaming Garbodors, although he did evolve into this one, which I don't really agree with. But I guess because we're ahead, he wants to be the one N-ing and hurting us. For some reason he's evolving into an Espeon. 1, 2, 3 items played so far, which is fine for him I guess, but it's just feeding our own trash, which is really good. So I'm feeling pretty happy here. Choice Band on the Lele. Ultra Ball as well on their end. Gets rid of Lele and another Ultra Ball for a Trubbish. So perfect knockout on the Espeon with our own Garb now. They're going to play an N though. If we can get into Acerola here, we'll be chuffed. It's a reasonable hand. Definitely reasonable. So 130 with the reduction. So Acerola off the top is just mean. That's dirty. That's just dirty. Oh, Golisopod, aren't you just a meme? Hi, is attaching the DC ever better here? Oh, you already have a Floatstone on. It's probably not, just because of the Floatstone, I think. Potentially close though, just because of N. There was also consideration to a GX attack that turn, even though damage-wise it's not amazing, because we've already committed Floatstone to it. It's again debatable. So our Trash Launch is at 120. DC on the Dramper. Is it just going to be righteous? Oh, they have the N. The Floatstone stuck, which is amazing for us. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 14 with our blower isn't enough. So we'll just go for first impression. It would have been what I Ultra Balled for, but actually physically top decking the pod is also very, very good here. They're in a really precarious spot now. See a Psychic Energy. See the Retreat. It's not enough. Again, it's a well-timed Acerola. Man, I'm pro. Still just shy of the mark with our Trash Launch. He's been threatening all game. But they just concede. Yeah, that was tricky from there, to be honest. I think they would have to have gone for confusion plays, but I think it would have been a long way back for them, especially when we have the Garbodor. So yeah, we got there in the end. Nice wins. Nice wins. We faced a Grandpa that conceded, a Grandpa that played, and a decidueye Zoroark, all of whom fell to Golisopod Garb. we got a good rub of the green, I'll be honest. We led Wimpod every time, we went first every time, and we had Brigette every time with a Sycamore to follow up. So if you want to see Golisopod Garbodoring well, this has been the video for it. And if ever there was an advert to play this deck, I think these games have shown that. Because even off the ends, we were doing very well. In our defense, we played high counts of all the right cards. So I guess that's what it's all about. So yeah, that is going to be it, guys. Golisopod Garb still very strong for London. I believe it's one of the safer plays you can go for. And safe is always good if you can navigate your matchups and use your noggin to outsmart your opponents and hopefully draw better than them as well. That's what I did today. So yeah, leave a like to this video if you did, sub to the channel if you've not already, and leave your comments down below about this deck. So yeah, we'll see you in another video, guys. Crimson Invasion coming very, very soon. But seeing as though this is already a London list, it counts. Don't argue, it counts. See you later, guys. Cheers.